to the Great Hall at the Kaufman Union. Today's forum will focus on current events and issues in the Middle East. Most of you probably know by now who Rabbi Kahane is, and if not, please read today's daily. You will get plenty of opinions there. But today you have a chance to have your own opinion because you came to listen and debate and ask questions. And I thank you for that. I would like to introduce the student panel. Further left from me is Daniel McRae, senior at Macalester College. The gentleman closer to me is Uri Spector, senior at University of Minnesota and a member of a Jewish Information Center. The format of the forum is as following. Rabbi Kahane will make introductory remarks for about 20 minutes. And after that, the student panel will have a chance to ask their questions. And that will follow by questions from the audience. We ask you to keep your statements at the microphone in a question format, not a statement format. You will be allowed a very short follow-up question if you are not satisfied with Rabbi's answer. Thank you very much.
I can think of no better way to begin than by addressing the flyer put out by Hillel. I don't recall a similar flyer against Louis Farrakhan put out by any black group on campus. I can't imagine a flyer against any Arab speaker put out by any Arab group, because the blacks and Arabs are normal, because the blacks and Arabs have self-respect, and Hillel is an abysmal example of a soul of slavery that is the product of 1,800 years of exile. They should be ashamed of themselves. But I want to address what they said, because I think it's important for you to understand that while they refused to come here today in forum, in debate, and the reason why they are not here is not because they don't want to dignify me, because they know that they can't handle me. So I want to deal with their written word. They speak of my history of violent actions in the United States and in Israel. Let's understand what the connotation of violence and violent acts that I've done really means, especially in light of the recent visit of Mandela to this country, in which he refused to repudiate violence, stating that if a people that has no weapons is up against a government that has weapons, then violence is the only way. That's what Mandela said to the ringing cheers, not only of blacks, but every Jewish liberal. Because we all know that violence is good when it is used in South Africa, or in El Salvador, or in Nicaragua. What kind of violence are they talking about that they condemn that Meir Kahane used in this country? 22 years ago, when the Jewish Defense League began the battle for Soviet Jewry, when Hillel never even knew that there was a question of Russian Jews, of course we used violence. For 50 years, half a century, the Soviet Jews were in their Soviet prison and crying out. And who did anything for them? Hillel? The B'nai B'rith? The ADL? Mort? We went out into the streets and we did the only thing possible to capture the headlines of news media and to let the world know that there is a problem called Soviet Jewry. Of course we use violence. Of course I bombed Russian buildings. Of course I did. And let every single Jew who cheers the African National Congress for using violence condemn me. What makes a Jewish freedom bomb? What makes a Jewish freedom bomb any less worthy than an African freedom bomb? When Stokely Carmichael, that vicious Jew hater, appears here and he applauds violence and every black applauds him, why don't Jews get up and tell Hillel, if you didn't do anything for Russian Jews, at least have the decency not to condemn those that did? Of course I used violence and went to prison for it here for a year for Russian Jews. It was worth every day that I spent there when I now see Russian Jews coming in every day to Israel. Of course it was worth it. Hillel should be ashamed of itself for speaking against violence for people who were trapped in that prison when American Jews refused to do anything for them. And the refusal of the Jewish establishment to do anything for Russian Jews for half a century was part of an ongoing process. I'm sick and tired of hearing Jews complaining about what the Christian world didn't do for Jews during the Holocaust. I'm sick and tired of hearing Jews condemning the Vatican and the British and Roosevelt. I never condemn the Christian world for not doing for Jews because I don't expect anything more from them. That's not the real lesson of the Holocaust. The real villain of the Holocaust wasn't the Christian world, it was the Jewish establishment that knew that a Holocaust was taking place as early as 1942 and did nothing. I know temple rabbis who in the 1960s were arrested for breaking the law in Selma, Alabama, and Jackson, Mississippi. For who? For blacks. That's nice. What was the issue there? Civil rights. But when the issue in 1942 and 43 wasn't civil rights, but Jewish lives, and 12,000 Jews died every single day, was there one temple rabbi that ever got arrested? When the Jews of Hitler's Europe pleaded with them and begged them, shake the world for a very practical answer, the Jews were brought to Auschwitz and to all the other camps, not by some magic carpet. They were brought there by freight trains, railroad cars. And every day 12,000 Jews arrived and 12,000 Jews left through the chimneys. And the Jews begged American Jewry, shake the world and demand that Roosevelt bomb the railroad lines, and put them out of commission, and bomb the bridges over which those lines run. And every day you saved 12,000 lives. Did they shake the world? They didn't do anything. The same Jews who in 1963 went to Washington for Martin Luther King's dream, they didn't go to Washington in 1942, in 1943. If the Jewish leaders, including Mort, most people here don't know who Mort is, believe me, you're missing nothing. If all the Jewish leaders, the American Jewish Congress, the American Jewish Committee, the B'nai Hillel, would have led 100,000 Jews to Washington in 1943, and there at the White House sat on Pennsylvania Avenue, blocking traffic, and shouting forth, "Hell no, we won't go," which is a famous Jewish slogan, and saying, "Bomb Auschwitz, bomb Auschwitz, bomb Auschwitz," what would have happened? Two things would have happened. One, they would have been arrested, which, believe me, is no sweat. In and out, that's no problem. But more important, the next day, every single newspaper in the free world would have had headlines saying Jewish leaders arrested, demand bombing of death camps, and they would have been bombed and Jews would have been saved. You know why they didn't do it? For the same reason that the Jewish leaders in this city now are terrified of Meir Kahane. What will the Gentiles say? And will this cause anti-Semitism? That's what bothers them. And the sacrificial lambs were 6 million Jews. because they were afraid of anti-Semitism in this country. History of violent actions. I'm proud of every single violent action I did for my people, and I'm ashamed of Jews who sit here and do nothing and condemn Jews who did something. His violent behavior and hateful ideas contravene the basic values of Judaism. I want to tell you something, that the Jewish leaders of the Twin Cities would not know a Jewish value if they tripped over one. These ignoramuses. Who becomes a Jewish leader in Minneapolis, in St. Paul? You think a scholar? Someone who's wise in Judaism, scholarship? Of course not. Jewish leaders in these Twin Cities and in all the cities of this country are chosen for one reason only: their money, their money, their money, and their ability to raise money. That's who your Jewish leaders are. Jewish values. What do they know about Judaism? You have temple rabbis in this city whose only mazel, whose only luck is that their congregants know less about Judaism than they do. You want to hear what Judaism says about violence? I'll read to you with sources what Judaism says about violence. I would ask any local rabbi here what that means, but I'm afraid that most don't speak Hebrew. So I'll translate for you. If one comes to slay you, slay him first. That's in the Talmud in Brachot. Meir Kahane didn't make that up. That's in the Talmud that Mort's great-grandparents once studied. There was a Jew named Phineas, to all the Baptists sitting here. And Pinchas, in a moment of zealotry, went out and killed a Jew and non-Jew for various reasons, which I'm not going to go into. And now it is necessary. You can check it out in the book of Numbers, chapter 24 and 25. And the rabbis say the following: that he who sheds the blood of the wicked, kol hashofech damo shel rishayim, ki'ilu hikriv korban. One who sheds the blood of the wicked, it is as if he has brought a sacrifice to God. I didn't write that. That's in the Talmud. Now you can burn one's local Talmud. I don't care about that. But don't babble about Jewish values when you would know one if you saw one. In the Bible it says in Dvarim, Deuteronomy chapter 20, Ki tetzei lemilchama al oivecha, when you go to war against your enemies. And the rabbis ask, why is it necessary to add the words against your enemies? Obviously one doesn't go to war against his friends. And they answer, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Almighty said, Bo alehim koivim, go against them as enemies. Kishem shenam rachamim alechem, just as they don't have mercy upon you, kach atem lo terachamu alehem, don't have mercy upon them. So much for the poor Palestinians. I didn't say this, and I didn't write this. That's in the Talmud. That is Judaism. If Hillel, in its ignorance, does not like this, they can hand out leaflets against the Talmud too. But not against Meir Kahane. Either be consistent or shut your mouth. On Sunday, 3 Jews were murdered in Jerusalem. I didn't hear the UN condemn the Arabs for murdering those